Hi, this is Corey.
Yes, it is.
I have a unique marketing opportunity for you. My name is Kevin Brauch. You believe in timeshares? Unlimited beer. You could have been one of those people. I totally could have started off on a wrong foot. How are you, bud?
Not too bad. How are you doing? I'm here actually with my partner in the website, Ian.
Yep. Hi, Ian.
How you doing?
You guys were too lazy to come down here and go for beer?
The funny thing is we're both playing Mr. Mom right now.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm playing. Yeah, I know that very well. I got a couple of myself. So
how are you doing today?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Hamilton this morning. Bit of beer drinking on air, which is always fun. Going to New York tomorrow for a month for Iron Chef America.
Oh, great.
It's not like I don't have enough. I had surgery on my knee last week, so I know we got to squeeze in a little Labatt for Canada Day. So what do you guys want to do here?
We're thinking maybe we can start with what you're doing with Labatt. We're from London, Ontario, so maybe talk about the donation to UWO.
Yeah, the thing is, a lot of people don't know I'm Canadian.
Yeah, so, true, I guess, with a lot of the Food Network USA.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I have some sort of odd, Midwestern accent or something. So, but proudly Canadian, born and raised in Toronto. Honestly, a bit more of a Molson kid growing up than a Labatt kid. Did almost a month doing Laverne and Shirley work down at the Molson Brewery on Fleet Street. Mom got me a great summer job, and then I missed the Ramones, and I missed the Replacements. And I was like, fuck this. It was horrible work, standing in a yellow box, and it was the summer, so we were making pretty sick money, but, they would call overtime. They were allowed to call overtime up to 45 minutes to the end of the shift. So on Friday night, you're ready to go to the cottage, and, it's 10 to 9, and they're like, you're going to midnight. I was like, so German parents, Canadian kid, grew up, beer is us, right? I found the difficulty in doing this job, and the harder you try, and we just beer is us, right? It's part of the Canadian identity. On Family Feud, it would be hockey, beer, back bacon, what else, right? Yeah, it's pretty much top of list. The harder you try and identify how it intertwines with our culture, it's almost like you're trying too hard. We're not the biggest beer drinking nation on the planet, but we believe we are. It's close to our heart. So when this project was sort of pitched to me, having just come off something with Canadian Club, I believe good drinks, every good drink has a story behind it to some degree, and I'm not trying to sound cliche, but the really interesting stuff, it's not sort of what's in the glass, it's how it's made, it's where it's from, it's who you drink it with, it's where you drink it. So I thought this was pretty special. There's a significant amount of information here that's not only about Labatt, it's about how a company before a country sort of works and exists, and the changes that are made, why decisions were made, when, and for what reason. How do you steer yourself through Prohibition is probably the most interesting aspect of some of this history that's all available. The perfect ledgers. The memorabilia is fun, right? That's the stuff that you want to put on your wall in college and university.
Right, for
but
sure.
I think it's some of the, for me, it's actually, as I get older, as I get wiser, I think all of the written information is pretty cool. And the fact that if it's put into the right place, it's put into the right hands, it can be used to, find out stuff about our country that we don't know. It can help with business practices. It's a great story of how, different companies and, Molson and Labatt and or Sleeman and or anybody really operated and guided themselves through post-World War II. And I think it's just great history here. And it's nice that it's coming together and it's trying to be represented in a way where it will be more usable.
For sure, and it could be a good resource for the people at Ivy even, right? Yeah. That's true too. But I just, this collection will be the one at Museum London, which is more the swag and the tchotchkes and the memorabilia. We had that on CH this morning. This is cool stuff. Boxing gloves, Labatt 50 boxing gloves. Big red boxing gloves with 50 right on the fist. And they had these Labatt's driving gloves, these big leather driving gloves. Like, the ashtray I can understand, the six-pack from 1961, which is just bizarre looking,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, that stuff is fun, but I think, the information, the give back, the legacy of the company, both for Labatt and the family and the company and then the country, I think it's pretty interesting, man. So,
For sure.
to bring me on as like a third party or just like an endorser of it, I'll lend my name to something I believe in, right? There's integrity here. It's not like they're putting a little piece of history and it's a written story in every box, They're doing something good, and I think it's great for London as well. They're not giving it away to another city.
Right. Well, they've managed to keep themselves pretty active in the city, and definitely at the university. I know they're huge donors with the hospitals. They're huge donors with the school itself, building the arts building and whatnot. Like they've always been big contributors locally, which is great.
Yeah, that was the thing, breweries they were big places. They had infrastructure. They had a means and a way. And even with Guinness, they had to take care of the people to a certain degree. They built Hiram Walker with Canadian Club in Walkerville. They built homes for people. There were workers' homes. They had to provide some education. They provided dental. They helped set some of the first labor laws in Canada. It was to their advantage to take care of the community, right?
For sure.
Not even in a greedy way, like if we'll feed them a bit and then they'll be ours forever. It was what you had to do. It was like farmers, like the community, like building a barn. I mean, there's a lot of analogies. I'm a wide thinker when it comes to stuff like this. Farmers looked after each other. You're right in the middle of the farming belt. All the ingredients were local. It made sense, and I think it's just it's the nature of people who get into businesses like this. He wasn't a marketing guy that had girls running around in bikinis, John Labatt. When he started, he was a craft brewer.
For sure.
He was making small amounts. You have to start small, right?
Yeah, small amounts in a small town, right?
Yeah. I mean, so that's the love of the story. I mean, as you get bigger, as you get provincial, national, multinational, international, those optics change. But I mean, at the beginning of the day, you got to be doing something right to get that big.
For sure. Now, did you get to take a look at the collection itself, and was there anything in that really stood out to you other than the memorabilia?
I was supposed to go down on June 1st to the sort of the official launch, and I was out of town, so I didn't get to go. I've looked at it online. Pieces are up here in Toronto right now. We took some pieces out to Edmonton last week. We were out in Alberta doing some media, and we had some pieces this morning on CHCH. And it's a lot. I haven't seen the ledgers and the books other than online at the website. They have a really nice sort of online archive of a lot of the stuff.
Right.
I've talked to the. I don't think he's the curator. He's the head down at University of Western. I'd like to get down there. I'm supposed to be going down there in late August, so I'm going to take some time and head in there. What are you going to find? I'm not writing a paper. I'm not trying to find family history. I really think that the information is pretty cool. As a Canadian, I'm excited by it. I think it ties in nicely to Canada Day. I had all the beer paraphernalia shit when I was in high school. From anybody, anything you could get your hands on. Back then, like I said, earlier, my mom worked for Molson, so I was maybe more of a Molson drinker. As you're growing up, I remember the Black Label phase. I remember the Foster's Biggin phase. It is sort of what we do. It's tied into sport. It's interwoven. And I don't want to focus on the exploitative side of it. We buy commercials on hockey to make money to sell beer. I'm just saying they do a lot of good work. I remember I had friends that worked for Hockey Night in Canada, and their checks were actually Molson checks.
Right.
They weren't Hockey Night in Canada or CBC. It was odd. Being out in Alberta, trying to get a grasp on that, because this is a sort of an Ontario thing more. I asked them, they still get paid by Labatt. They don't get paid by ABI. They don't get paid by AB InBev.
Right.
The checks say Labatt, which sort of to me says a lot. Without saying a lot, it says a lot. I'm weird that way. I had to find my place in this.
And I have no issues, thinking that this is a considerable, gift, like 10,000 boxes, streamlined down to 2,600. They go stacked, it would be half a kilometer. I go, that's okay, that's like filling pools. I go, how many beers? And it's like almost 8,000 beers, side by side. That's the length of the documentation and the memorabilia. Like, there's a lot of stuff here, eh?
Labatt started basically as a local craft brewer, small town brew. What's your opinion on what's happening with the sort of the either Ontario, Canadian, even global sort of brewing scene? Do you see other companies doing the same kind of things, or what?
Well, I know that this was a Labatt priority. It wasn't a AB InBev thing. They were worried that it was going to get lost in the fray. I was talking to Charlie. I think he's a senior VP. I can't remember Charlie's last name. I can find that for you. But when I first met this, and he was the one who approached me about getting involved with the project, they were really worried that, as they sort of were moving offices and changing buildings, they were finding all of this great stuff. And it had resonance, because I think a lot of the beer marketing and the beer advertising and the beer culture today is kind of disposable. So I think as a smart person would do, what's going on with all this stuff? And it was like nothing. It's here, it's there, it's not really being taken care of. It's like there's a Pruder film, and it's all going to get sort of lost if they don't champion it. The argument is they're saving some money, handing it over to somebody else to take care of.
I guess long term for sure.
Yeah, they're gaining, they don't have to have storage space anymore. But at the bigger end of it, it is sort of championing the cause of one of the great Canadian, brands. You think of the names, you think Hudson's Bay, Canadian Tire, Molson, Labatt, Eaton's. Those are comfortable. Hiram Walker, Seagram's. Those are comfortable names in our identity.
For sure, and some of the oldest companies in the country, right?
Oh yeah, totally. So that's not an AB InBev thing. That's a Labatt thing. That's a Canadian thing. So for me, again, the story Thirsty Traveler was great because I got to go around the world and discover countries through their national wine, beer, or spirit. And it doesn't matter if you're looking, we never really look at one. We look at a category, like there's always room for other guys. Molson guys and Labatt guys get together. The Ontario craft brewers, I love these guys.